Okay, hi everyone. Ifeoma here again. Welcome to this second edition of WorkShift with CareerBuddy. What is WorkShift about? WorkShift is a quarterly masterclass series where we bring top leaders in different spheres around people, companies, just generally around issues that can help with early stage businesses, early stage companies, and managing of employees, managing of your talent, which we understand are a company's best asset. So we bring in different thought leaders every quarter to talk about something, just to give a fresh idea or fresh perspective around a topic or a conversation that needs to be, spoken more about. So today we have a fantastic guest. He is an awesome person. He is an awesome, deeply knowledgeable individual, and we're super excited to have him here today. So before we get into introducing our guest, let's know whom we have here this quarter. Let me see. We don't have a lot of attendees yet, so I think we can move on and come back to our introductions much later. Let's move on to our guest introduction, please. Yeah. So our theme for today's conversation is employer branding and when you need it. And the fantastic person dissecting this conversation is the one and only award-winning Samuel Akinlotan. He is a talent acquisition consultant. Samuel is great at his craft. I don't think I'm doing him enough justice. I have been following him in the shadows and I've been seeing the great things he's been doing. Please, can you move on to our speaker introduction, please? Quickly. Thank you. Awesome. So Samuel is, nice. Samuel is a personable and internationally certified talent acquisition professional with experience in talent acquisition and development, technical and diversity recruiting, employer branding, competency management, HR policy development and review, and organizational development. Samuel has both hands-on and strategic level work experience in consulting and financial services. So you see, we have a guru on here today. He has designed and executed several people-centric solutions with leading organizations across diverse sectors and industries, like the Big Four consulting companies, FMCG companies, retail chain stores, hospitality businesses, banking, engineering, information technology, media, education, agriculture. The list is endless. Samuel is passionate about talent development, diversity and inclusion, and discussing contemporary workplace issues. He has an extensive leadership and volunteering experience in bridging the knowledge and skill gap that exists between education and employment in Nigeria. I think just to talk about Samuel is not something you take a short while. We need to do him justice. He enjoys teaching and sharing knowledge and has been recognized as the top 150 global HR influencer and among the top 10 HR professionals in Nigeria. You see what I said? He is a certified member of the Human Resource Certification Institute, CIPD, UK, Talent Management Institute, and a member of the Global Institute of Organizational Development Professional. At his free time, he loves reading, playing video games, cooking, and providing career guidance to young professionals. We are super excited to have Samuel here today. And as the introduction does not do him any justice, but I must tell you, he is very deeply rooted in the people's space and very well respected as well. Hi, Samuel. We are excited to have you here. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. We have a superstar in our midst today.
Good afternoon, Afama. Thank you very much for having me. And really excited to be here as well. Thank you very much for the humbling introduction, I must say, because everything you're saying there, I don't even know what you're talking about. Um, yeah, but really nice to be here. And I'm just here to have fun, to be very fair. I'm just here to just catch up and just share a few thoughts, I must say, around employer branding. And that's what we'll be discussing this afternoon. But thank you very much for the humble introduction and also for having me. And I think I'll just share a slide very fast. So can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, very clear.
Great, great. I'm just pushing these to the side. Okay, great. And in just over 10, 15 years, in the last 10, 15 years, when it comes to employer branding, social media, especially even before social employer branding, social media and employee review side, all the glass doors and everything, have given a lot of employees in the workplace unprecedented influence, to shaping both, consumer and employer brand perception. And we've seen in recent years situations where employees voicing out concerns about how they are being treated at work, about the state of their workplace, has influenced how customers also engage these brands. We've seen these things over and over. So we can see the part that social media, digital platforms are playing in how people perceive organizations. That's just where I'm going to. And we've seen cases where employment practices in organizations that we did not even used to know about before now has also, dominated several spheres. We've seen employees suing organizations, in recent years, and this is not, good perception that a lot of organizations want to have. So it is a viral conversation, from things like to the Me Too movement that we have, across the world, amongst other things. So things go viral easily, and why organizations need to pay attention to the kind of conversation they are enabling that is shaping the perception that prospective talents have about their organization. I'm just going to say very fast, thank you for them. I'm not going back into that. And so what I'm just saying in essence is this. And one question I always ask anybody that is interested, for startup businesses, for even established organizations themselves, I always ask them, tell us why you should be, a top organization for any talent. So there's a type of talent you want. You are a tech company, for example. You want, talent that you want to compete with a Google with regards to the type of talent you're looking to hire. You're paying in effect, you're paying in dollars, you're paying in pounds. You want to hire from across the world. But the people you want to hire that have the skill set that you want to bring on board, do they want to work for you? That's one key question I always ask. And it is very important because it's gonna be this way. Top talent come to organizations in droves. I remember growing up, our parents, actually that's what it used to look like. Our parents used to work in organizations for 10, 15 years. We have them, you give them all these home stereo when they've clocked 10 years, they give them just refrigerators when they've clocked 15 years. Those years. But gone are those days where people now stick to organizations. People now have more options. They can apply to organizations within their own country, in another country, working remotely. They can even travel now. There are more options. More countries across the world are open to having international talents. So gone are those days where top talents come to organizations in droves, where talent are more at the mercy of organizations. Basically, HR streamlines selection process. We used to have people read job vacancies in newspapers. Gone are those days. So the organizations that would stand out in the world that we are today are those that are ensuring that they are positioning themselves in a way, not just in a positioning only, but also communicating in a way that top talent want to align with them. That's just what I'm saying. So as the search for top talent becomes increasingly competitive, job seekers, have much more control. That's where I'm going to. They have much more control because today's candidates not only have more choices in employers, they also have more ways to evaluate even you. So it's not just about applying to your organization, It's also knowing that they can also check. They can easily message a person on LinkedIn to say what they like working at your organization. They can easily go on the Glassdoor to check. They can easily go on. I know people that I have a friend who's very sincere. He has worked with Fortune 500 companies all his career. Fortune 500 companies all his career. And he always says it that when your organization reaches out to him, if you're not Fortune 500, he's not even talking to them. You get? So that is where the world that we are in today. Candidates have more options, with easier access to diverse information. And this is also influencing perceptions that consumers have of our organization. So when organizations are thinking about where are we going when it comes to strategic goals, when it comes to next 2-3 year goals, the people plan is also always part of it. And when we are thinking of the people plan, we need to understand that the people we are trying to get into this business to drive this organizational goal that we have, our employer brand plays a huge part in this. The way they perceive us plays a huge part in this. And it also shapes our talent acquisition strategy. How are we going to bring these people into our organization? And whenever I sit with business owners, with executives, averagely what they think about when it comes to conversations around people plan or running a business, what comes to their mind solely is strategy, sales, customer service. But the reality is that the ultimate success of any business, of any organization in the world, is determined by recruiting, engaging, and retaining good people. It is I always say this: it is employee first, customer second. The quality of people you have in your organization is directly proportional to the quality of service or product or whatever that your organization can produce. And I'll cite a very similar, at least a more recent case study. This past week, for example, we've heard of the submarine, that the submersible vehicle that went down to view Titanic. Yeah, at least I'm sure a number of us might have followed that conversation online. And at the core of this, that is a huge strategic goal for that organization, because what they do, the name of the organization is Ocean Gate. And what they do is, they provide underwater experiences for people. So it is at the core of their business, their strategic goal. However, one of the key conversations that have come out in recent events subsequently, during and after all of this, is that they said the CEO focused on using young talents, here, inexperienced hands when it comes to the level of expertise required, to embark on building that tool, the submersible vehicle, and also to embark on that journey. So you can see that the quality of people influence there. There is also a conversation around how one of the employees had shared safety concerns, an experienced employee had shared safety concerns around the expedition and all of that. The quality of people that are working on that, on the project and all of that. So we can see that the people play a huge part. So if it is sales, strategy, operations, engineering, name it, whatever function in a business, it is people that would run it. So it is employee first, customer second. So the ultimate success that will determine an organization, achieving its goal, it is finding. You first have to find them, attract them to you, bringing them on board. That is at the core of it. The same way organizations go out to, acquire customers, you need to put similar effort, because you can acquire customers and have employees that are not competent that will chase them away. So it is the same effort we need to put in to ensure that our company strategic goal, our people plan, is solely built on the employer brand, because employer brand is becoming a strategic advantage. It will influence how you can bring people into your organization. It will influence the type of people you can bring in. It will, and I follow football. I follow football very well. And for anybody that is pretty conversant with football, there's something we call transfer window in football. And you realize that some of the best players in the world, there are teams that win trophies often. There are teams that are like top teams in the world. We have top 20 teams in the world. One thing you would see consistently, that these top football teams, and this applies to other spheres as well, other organizations, is brand value. The quality of footballers that those teams have amongst other things, greatly influences the type of talents they can also attract. We would see teams that have not won trophies in maybe years, but they can still attract, very good, talents, young talents, experienced talents in the market during transfer window. And this is because of the brand value they are communicating. And this also applies to us because trends pointing to the workforce of the future, workforce of today, workforce of the future, continues to shape, the way organizations need to evolve their approach to talent to stay competitive. So it is not enough for us to, to sit where we are to say, we are a big organization. These people will come. Someone else will attract those talents. Someone else will attract those best talents. In 10, 20 years ago, from conversations I used to have with maybe some senior mentors, the banking industry used to be where everybody, growing up, our parents would want us to either become a lawyer, a medical doctor, an accountant. Those are like top professions. But if you see those professions now, maybe you see that maybe the closest to them that people still admire or aspire to, so maybe medicine, to become a doctor. But becoming an accountant, I'm not saying accounting is not easy. Becoming an accountant is a bad career. But what I'm saying is they are not as attractive as they used to be. So as all this evolution is also coming into the workplace, organizations also need to evolve how they attract these talents. So it is not just even organizations again, even industries are not being able to attract talent as they used to. And the need for them to shape and influence intentionally how they get talent on board. That's just what I'm saying, because employer branding, is now becoming a strategic advantage. So to stay competitive and responsive to candidates' expectations across different generations as well, organizations need to promote the value that they can offer to their employees and market this value in new ways that attract not just employees, because employees are like consumers. They are shopping for jobs. They are not just, coming into your organization. They are shopping for jobs, just the way you decide on your iPhone, Samsung, whatever devices you want to use. Candidates are also deciding about your organizations, this way. So it may require revisiting, refreshing, checking. What are we doing right now, and what can we change? Because in the last 2-3 years, I would say, we've been in a power crisis, and I think that's like one of the new buzzwords. Power crisis is where different things are just happening, concurrently. We went from COVID, as we came out from COVID. Different things. Last year we had the Russia-Ukraine war. From that, we had the Great Resignation through COVID into that period. We just had different events influencing the world. You would not want to know how the Russia-Ukraine war, for example, affected talent migration in Europe. That is one thing there. In Nigeria, for example, political changes, things around our elections, new administration coming in, made a lot more people even plan around talent migration. And we all, okay, I think we all know what the Japa syndrome is, where a lot of people are emigrating. This is also influencing organizations, because if your best hands are leaving, how can you get hands that are equally as good to come in? So the Great Resignation is there. Quiet quitting is there, where employees feel like, if I'm not valued here, I'll not give my best. I'll just do the bare minimum. Mass layoffs as well, across different industries, because impending recession and all of that. And with all of these things happening, is also influencing where talents want to go. If you are doing mass layoffs, for example, I'm not sure any talents will want to take you serious and come to your organization. That's just what I'm saying. If you are experiencing quiet quitting because you are bringing in people that you are not offering or delivering value to, that is also a loss. So we can see that people play a key part. People play a key part in the achievement and of an organization's strategic goal, whatever it is. So it is important for us to realize that as people play an important part, either within or outside, especially for those outside, they are accessing us. They are accessing us. That's just what I'm saying. And before people even apply to jobs, a lot of candidates, they check us. It says here is that 91% of job seekers visit some online or offline resource to learn about your brand, your reputation before they apply. So what are they seeing? That's one key question I'm asking. What are they seeing? They are checking your online presence, ex-employees that they know. A lot of them check ex-employees that they know. They go, I know this person that has worked here before. What is their thoughts on this organization? They check employer review sites, all the glass doors, indeed. They check news and articles about your organization before they decide to come. So if you are looking to bring great talent into your organization, what can they find? That's the key question I'm asking here. And beyond it, also know that consumers also look out for your organization. Um, there is Bud Light. Bud Light had some recent controversies that really affected their share price, their sales, amongst other things. And it was just one of the campaigns that they had. So it is very important for us. And we've seen, a lot of manufacturing companies as well. I remember there was a time where Adidas was boycotted in Europe because of some employment practices that that they had in Asia. They boycotted them in Europe. So we can see that even employment practices influence how your consumers decide about you. And if it is influencing it, how are we ensuring that even if we have the right employment practices or HR practices in place, people out there are aware and they are not just forming an opinion based on something they can perceive that is not real. So it is there. So employer branding, as I'm just going to put it very well, is people are very important in your organizational goal. As people are important, you need to attract them. That is the next steps. When it now comes to attracting them, because you know that they are checking you before they decide about you. So employer branding now goes beyond you just putting yourself on billboards, or it's not just marketing. It's not just just shouting down and passing all the information, because a lot of organizations, that's what they do when it comes to employer branding. And employer branding is not something you wait for when you have a certain number of employees. See, there's a quote by Jeff Bezos. He says that branding, this is saying branding here. Branding is what people say about you when you are not in the room. And whether you like it or not, everyone has a perception of your organization, either just by seeing your name, either just by seeing your logo, either just by visiting your website, whatever touch point, whatever communication or interfacing touch point anybody has with your organization, they have formed a perception. That's just what I'm saying there. So it is not just enough for us just to communicate as though we are talking to everybody. It's just like entering a hall and speaking, shouting, and talking to everybody. No, we will not get the type of results. We will not attract the type of people we want. You cannot want to attract top talent out there, and you are communicating as though you are communicating in the marketplace. You need to understand that a lot of people, when they are communicating, they say, "Oh, we are looking for first class, students." There are a lot of first class students that do not have the attitude you are looking for in your people. You see a lot of people that say we are looking for first class and so on. It's this type of attitude. There are also some that are probably not as strategic or are not passionate about what your business is doing. So it is not just about speaking, looking at statistics and trends to say, oh, the workforce of the future is this, generation X is like this. Yeah, those things are good. You need to speak to talents that applies to your organization. That is at the core of employer branding. So employer branding, it is not just about even a when. It is everyone has a perception of you. It is something that we need to be intentional. We need to be very, very intentional about what we are communicating. It starts as long as you're an organization that exists to attract customers, to make profits. You need to have an employer brand that is influenced by you. So the problem with statistics and trends, when it comes to organizations just putting out, we need to put out one post every week, we need to put out 2 posts every week. The problem with statistics and trends trying to, fit into what everybody is doing is you speak to the masses, you speak to everybody, and that is nobody. So we need to go from the place where we have lesser control over our employer brand to have the option of influencing perception. How do you want talent to perceive you? I see organizations win best 100 places to work from time to time, and I've been privileged to work in a number of organizations. And that's something they always do. They intentionally take control. They don't lose control. They intentionally influence perception. that talent have of their organization. It is to be a cool organization. I remember, one of my friends then was in HR Fandela. And one of the things they did then, they will have small jobs, drinks, PlayStation, and all of that in the workplace. They have play areas, sleep pods. And they were, before then, just giving you context, Unilever had some of those things, because I had some working relationship with Unilever at some point. Unilever had some of those things right before, if I remember, as at 2012. I'd seen some of those things before in Unilever. Mandela came around in about 2016, 2017, and they communicated this thing. And as of 2018, they were number one best place to work in Nigeria. But there were other organizations doing these things that they were doing. So it is not just about, having these things in place. Yeah, you have a cool culture, first name basis, whatever you are calling it. It is not just about having these things. It is also ensure you are communicating it intentionally such that you are influencing perception. So the difference in employer branding and marketing is you are not communicating to, you are communicating with, you are engaging. That's like the main difference. You are engaging your talent. You are communicating with them. You are trying to understand what matters to them. You are not just, this is not just a top bottom thing. You are engaging them. You are understanding their perception. You are understanding their attitude. You're understanding their expectations as well. You are communicating with things that are of keen interest to them. Because see, no matter how we want to play it, people will check out your organization, and different, generations as well have key perception. And that's the next place I'll take us to when it comes to even communicating with. Communicating with is not just about even you as a brand, your people as well. What are your employees saying about your organization? If I am to, there was a recent event on Twitter where, and it's a very sensitive case where an employee had an issue of sexual harassment. And the organization fired him like within 24 hours. Fired the person that was involved within 24 hours. They brought it on social media. And I saw in a conversation somewhere where someone referenced another organization that they reported their employee for doing something similar, and the organization never responded. And the tweet went on to have over 1 million views, just giving you context. Over 1 million views. And the replies in those tweets were like, it's just best not to work in such an organization, because if you are sexually harassed as an employee, it's a high chance you might not, get protection from the organization, because if they could not take action on an employee doing it on outside, what's the assurance that they can do it within the business where they will have more control? And I can tell you, for marketing professionals, there's a high chance you've never made a post before that got 1 million views. There's a very high chance, I can tell you, for free. There's a high chance that you've never made a post, that got 1 million views before. Maybe you boosted it even. But imagine that negative marketing, which is, they said no PR is bad. They are bad PRs. You get? So the way our people also comport themselves online is part of the conversation when it comes to employer branding, and why we cannot just leave it alone to, we will put this house on Thursday, we'll put this house on Saturday. Is ensuring you are intentional about your employer brand. Let me run very fast to more interesting things. There was a time, this one on the right especially. This person tweeted something. I interviewed a guy for a job yesterday, and when he was leaving, he said to me, "You smell nice." And I told him that's very rude of him. He left looking stupid. A lot of men don't have manners. And the backlash that this tweet got on Twitter, the backlash it got was, very interesting, because a lot of people, and I'm not encouraging people to, I'm not saying people should go and, report employees to their employer or anything like that. But a lot of people took up, tweets from these people and tried to find out who they were working with. Are these the type of people that, you have in your workplace that are managing people? That they cannot even enable a friendly or personable culture. So even the way our people are communicating influences perception that people have of our organization. I've also seen cases where organizations play online. I remember when I was working with Sterling Bank, and we had this bank wars. Maybe a number of us might remember bank wars back then. And when we had this bank wars, I was in talent acquisition. Our applications when it skyrocketed. I'm not even lying. The first graduate training program we had after the bank it was massive. We had thousands of applications. I'm not even joking. So even the way your organization is communicating regularly, how you are called, and that's what I'm still saying, communicate with, not to. The way your organization is creating an environment where talents want to align with them also matters, plays a huge part when it comes to employer branding. Our graduate training program then was massive. I remember when EFC2 used to be very, very interesting on Twitter. I know they had a handler back then. They posted very interesting things, even to our handle offering a person an internship on Twitter. So it is not just about coming online to post job advertisements alone. It is ensuring that you have a face, you have a persona, that the type of candidates, the type of talent you are looking to hire will want to align with. Remember, you are not competing just within your industry, you are competing on a global scale. Talents now have access. You are paying them in Naira, maybe, if you are a Nigerian company. But we now have talent that they want to earn in foreign currency. So you are competing with organizations outside your country. So how can talents decide to prioritize your offer when you send it to them? These are the things you do. Communicate with. So our talent seeing you, if anybody knows who this guy is, they call them the faceless men of Astapor from Game of Thrones. So our talent seeing you as a faceless organization, can they relate with you? Can they align with you? Or are they seeing you as one that they don't even know what to think of you? That's the key question to ask yourself. Is this how talents see you, a faceless organization? So the focus for us should be on how to become social and not how to do social when it comes to employer branding. It is not just about having fancy graphics design. No, fancy graphic design, what is it saying? Who is it communicating to? What can, the type of talent you are looking out for? What can they do? You get, what is the call to action? How can they engage you? What can they learn from you? So it is focused on how to be social. Just as we are human beings, where we position ourselves as a friendly person. Are you positioning yourself as an organization that talents want to engage and align with? Remember, people don't connect with brands, they connect with people. People think, things that have a face. So when I'm saying people does not mean a physical human being. Things that have a face. They want to connect, they want to feel like I belong in this organization. So are we curating a kind of conversation that will ensure people feel this way? So I think I'll just keep this. So the key question before I even go there, the key question I'm saying is, I've mentioned our people earlier. How are people communicating? So are you building brand ambassadors or brand assassins? When people come across your employees, have you intentionally communicating the kind of value you want to them, you get, such that when they have to speak about your organization, they know what to say? When they are representing themselves as individuals, people will want to work where they work because of the way they are communicating about, your own organization. If a person goes out there and half of the time they are saying, work is stressful, but I'm grateful for my organization. They've put in flexi work options. They've done this. Oh, I know that, by next year, I know it's a stressful period, but I know by next year, I'll get my promotion. If people are communicating about you outside there as one that, aligns with what they want, more people, see, I'm not lying to you. I've worked in Big Four before, Big Four Consulting. It's one of the most stressful places to work. I'm not even lying to you. It's one of the most stressful places to work in the world. But when you think of the merits compared to, the demands of this workplace, you realize that the merit way outweighs the demand, from career progression, from access to knowledge, to many other things there. So it is not just, and that's why people go into work at Big Four organizations, even though it is stressful and demanding, because these brands have intentionally not just, studied themselves, to talents out there, but there are people also showing, there are people also saying in the talent marketplace, the value of working in this organization. So as an organization, are you building brand ambassadors or are you building brand assassins? And this goes beyond just telling your employees what to say. It is also ensuring that you are delivering that value, because that is also at the core of what employer branding is. The next thing I want to mention, in this session is employer branding goes beyond advertising your jobs. And I know there's a lot of people focus on when it comes to employer branding. How do you advertise our jobs? Yeah, it is fantastic. Advertising your job is, very interesting. And to be very fair, it's good to have, very good job adverts that can attract the type of people that you want. But we need to go beyond that. I've sincerely done some interesting recruitment campaigns in my own career as well. But where I'm taking us to, where I want us to know is at the core of employer branding is having a strong employee value proposition. That is what is at the core of employer branding. And it is the promise of value. It is the exchange between you as an organization and a potential candidate. And one of the greatest benefits of having I call it EVP, of having an EVP, is that it shows prospective employees what they can expect from you once they are hired. And organizations that, fully understand the type of talent they need are able to also showcase their EVP to this workforce because it will help them yield long-term reward. What am I saying? From retention, from attracting them first of all, to retention, to keeping them engaged because they know what to look forward to. And as they are in your organization as well, they are seeing all the expectations. They are experiencing the expectations that you have promised as value. So it is not just about, send me your organizational policy. What are you doing in your organization? Let me see what you're doing in your organization. What are you offering your employees? It is also, first of all, ensuring that it is differentiated. It is aligned with your own employees. See, the type of talent you need is not the type of talent another organization is. It is peculiar to you, very peculiar to you. So it should be differentiated. It should be authentic. It should also be competitive because it's an advantage. It does not separate you from the next organization. And also, you should be committed to it to ensure you are delivering the promise of value. What makes up EVP very fast? There are 6 core areas when it comes to EVP. We have career paths, and as I was saying, EVP is the bedrock of employer branding. We have career paths, we have leadership, we have rewards and recognition, we have culture, we have talent brand, and we have learning and development. When it comes to, I think I have about 5 more minutes, if I believe so. When it comes to, and I'll run very fast to ensure I'm also done in that time. But when it comes to career path, for example, location mobility, that is a huge one. Where is the organization located? Are there international opportunities, for example? Career development. How fast can I grow in this organization? Skills and competencies. Am I working with, will this organization help me develop my skills? Am I working with competent people? Leadership as well. Are there opportunities to get mentored? What is the tone like at the top? Feedback. Is there feedback and coaching available for me as a young talent? Rewards and recognition. And these are things that talents are considering. There's a career values framework a lot of talents look at. These are key things they are considering. So if you have all of these things in place, how are you communicating them? That's what I'm always asking. How are you communicating them? If your CEO is an inspirational leader, how are you making him at the front such that talents want to come and work with him? If you are paying, even if you are not paying top in your organization, are there other perks that you're offering talent that would make them want to consider your organization? What kind of culture are you also enabling? Do you have an inclusive culture? That enables a sense of belonging. Are you communicating these things out there? When it comes to your talent brand, do you have very good onboarding that ensures new talents coming into the workplace and they feel settled very, very fast? Formal learning as well. Do you provide enough for your employees to learn enough? Are you communicating these things? And these are the 6 key pillars of EVP. So when developing an EVP as well, it is not a one-size-fits-all. It's not just to define all of this, because different employees are in different stages of their life. A married employee and an unmarried employee have different needs. A fresh graduate and it's an experienced employee that is probably they are both single, they have different expectations as well. So it is very important that we know that also developing an EVP under employer branding, it is not a one-size-fits-all and should speak to the different demographics we have in the workplace, because also different generations want different things. For Generation Z, for Generation X, for millennials, for baby boomers, they value different things, even from their work style. So when we are building, when we are communicating employer branding from our organization outside, it is important that we know who we are speaking with. Very important. This is not a one size fits all. I know this is a very short session, so I'm also trying to just touch on a number of things to ensure we stay in on point. I'll be moving to the later part of this session by saying let's just do a very short game, this or that, and this is where I want us to play so I'll show us some brands very fast, and I want you to decide which one and why. That's just the game. So in the comments, I'll try to check the comments here. I'll try to check the comments here, and I'll say I just need you to just respond which one, why. That's all. So the first one is Burger King or McDonald's. Just reply with why. Just tell us which brand and why. McDonald's, love their hearts. Heard about McDonald's, Burger King, juicier burger. Interesting. Burger King because they're Nigeria. Okay, fair enough. Because they are more popular. Love their hearts and employee benefits. Okay, nice. Next one. Lamborghini or Ferrari? Burger King because of the African promos. Interesting. Ferrari, Formula One. Okay. Ferrari, okay. Lamborghini, 2-1. It speaks class. Okay. Lamborghini luxury. Okay. Ferrari because of his speed. Fair. One more, and I'll go to the next one. Ferrari. Okay, Pepsi or Coke? Coke. Why? No, just tell me why. Coke, please. I'm drinking one of them, but I don't know which it is. It's calm, easily accessible. Coke because of their supply chain. Coke is global. Okay. One thing you will see from, and that's the interesting part of the exercise we just did now. When I checked all the comments, as I was checking them, none of you mentioned the functionalities of any of these brands, maybe Coke has one sharp taste, Pepsi has one, maybe they have, whatever it is. I don't know. Nobody said, oh, Lamborghini has 4 plugs, Ferrari has 8 plugs, Lamborghini has stick tires, and all of that. One thing you will see is most of us, we are picking this brand based on how we feel about them, which might not outrightly be the truth, to be fair. There might be some elements of truth there, but it is our perception that has shaped how we are deciding about this brand. It's our perception of them that is shaping it. And that is the same thing talents do when it comes to deciding about us. So you sent an offer to 2 candidates, for example, and they have to decide. At that point, from applying to your jobs, I've seen candidates turn down interviews. They just felt, I don't like these people. I don't think I like them. That is how people are. Talents, make decisions based on how they feel about a brand. That's the same thing. The same way as consumers, we make decisions about brand. That's the same way talents make decisions about us. And if we remember this advert, for example, where share a Coke, a lot of people bought Coke in their house because there was an emotion attached, to buying that Coke because there were names on it. A sense of identity. So are you communicating an employer brand that the type of talent you are looking to hire can identify with? One that they want to belong in that type of environment, one that they want to align with your talent brand. That is the question I'm asking. What emotions are you cooking? through your employer brand. Because remember, great brands tap into emotions. Emotions drive most, if not all, of our decisions. So a brand that that reaches out with a powerful connecting experience, it is an emotional connecting point that transcends, whatever the candidate, whatever the consumer is going to decide about you. So it is very important that even when we are communicating, we are asking ourselves, if I'm talking about culture today, if I'm talking about recruitment or a talent brand, if I'm talking about career progression, how will talents out there, how will they feel about what I'm communicating? Will it create an advantage for them to decide about us? Because see, we live in an age where the decisions we make about where we eat, what movie to watch, and even now where we work will be influenced by online ratings, by what organizations are communicating, by peer review, what your colleagues, what your friends say. So this reality, it shows us the shifting balance of power from employers to employees, who we've been emboldened by diverse opportunities, global labor markets, and we are growing more vocal in demanding of the companies that we work for. So organizations that continue to neglect, their employer brand and reputation, especially those looking to hire the new generation of people we have into their workforce, they risk losing out on the best talents today, and even more so in the future. So this is one very interesting quote I like from, the MD of People and Change at KPM. She says, candidates have begun to act as consumers, shopping for jobs. So to differentiate, organizations must identify those characteristics and employee experiences that distinguish them from their competitors. So it is very, very important that organizations are intentional about how, they're communicating their employer brand and also influencing the reputation they have in the workplace. And I think that's the end of our session today. I was going to show us a slide. What can we learn from online dating? And I think I'll just do that one in 1 minute. When it comes to online dating, a lot of people go online, on these dating apps. I was reading a study, and you swipe. When you see a person, you either like their picture or not. You swipe. I think they swipe out. If you like them, you message them. That's how talents also decide about us. So when it comes to employer branding, 4 key things to note: be clear. Don't try to farm. Don't try to be too friendly. Be clear about what you want to do. Be clear about what you want to communicate. Just like online dating. If a person wants to, I'm looking for an intentional friendship, fantastic. I'm looking to date, fantastic. Be clear. It increases your chances of finding the type of talent that you're looking for. Give them what they want. Understand what value means to the talent you're looking for. Just like in online dating, where people put out their interest, and it's their interests that bring the type of people that will like them to them. So either swipe their profile to communicate with them. Same thing with organizations. Communicate the value you can offer the type of talent you are looking for, so they can come to you. So even when they are deciding about you, they choose you first. The third thing there is, you can't please everyone. You can't, talk to everybody. So define the market, define the type of talent you are looking for. You can't please everyone. Don't try to attract everybody. Just define what talent means to your organization, and those are the people you should, attract to yourself. And remember, relate and build chemistry. Don't just post your Thursday to Tuesday post. Ensure you are engaging. Ensure you are creating a platform for talent to engage you. Because at the end of the day, people apply to companies and not job postings. And with record unemployment across the world, maybe in Africa, maybe we are still having high unemployment rate, but in other parts of the world, and that's why we've had the jackpot syndrome, where countries are wanting more international talent. Job seekers today are no longer job hunting; they are job shopping. They are options. And like smart consumers, we leverage, as talents, we leverage and contribute to the abundance of online information by peer reviews we share, by information we share, and opinions which shape employer branding, for most organizations. So it's very important for us as organizations to boost and protect our online presence by being intentional about what, the kind of value, the promise of value we are delivering to our current employees, and the promise of value that we are communicating. So thank you all very much. And I think that is where I would end this session.
Awesome, awesome, amazing. Thank you so much, Samuel. It was a mind-blowing session, and I thank you so much for doing justice to this topic. If you have any questions, this is our Q&A session. Please go ahead and drop your questions in the chat box. Samuel still has about, I think, 7 to 10 minutes to answer your questions before he zooms off. So please go ahead and drop your questions. I think prior to that, we had one question that came in yesterday.
Oh, great.
So this person is called IB. He's an early stage founder. And his question is it possible for a startup business that hasn't raised funds to focus on employer branding to help with hiring the right people?
I think that's one of the most important part of their work as well, because when I one of the things I always say is this: when I engage early startup founders, for example, one thing they always focus on is the marketing of the product, the marketing of the services, trying to acquire customers. But you need to understand that the quality of people you also bring on board will influence the success of that product or service you are selling. During the week, one of the former founders of Andela Ing, he was saying something on Twitter, and he said he does not know how to code. And people were surprised that he does not know how to code. And I was like, this is like common knowledge. I've known this is like, yes. But what we need to understand is the reason a person like Inge could drive Andela was because he had other skills that was beyond coding, like the sales part of it, the operations part of it. So when I see early startup founders, especially those that are built on tech, they focus on getting the best software engineers. They're not thinking of the sales and marketing guys. They're not thinking of the HR people. So if you're not bringing in the best hands into all the functions that will enable your business, you are increasing your chances of failing. So it now comes back to, how can I bring in the best people into my team? That's like the key question. How can I bring in the best people into every function within my team? So that is where it is to say employer branding begins the day you decide you want to run a business, the day you decide you want to have a second hand. Because at that point, people are not just working for you, they are also investing in the business. Because at that point, there are other organizations. Because if you're looking to bring in the best hand into your business, there are other organizations that these best hands can work with. So you need to have a convincing promise of value that will make them not choose a Google, a Microsoft, a Facebook, name it, a Zenith Bank, a GT Bank over you. That will not make them choose a Flutterwave. That will not make them choose any other top organization out there over you. You need to have a convincing promise of value beyond the money, because it's not just even money these days. People are not moving jobs for money again. I've seen people leave well-paying jobs for that one that is not even paying as much as the one they were on before. So we need to have, and that starts from the moment you believe you need to bring people on board. So you don't have to say, well, I need to have 10 employees. You need to say, what is my promise of value as an employer? And how can I communicate it such that if I send someone an email to say, I saw your profile on LinkedIn, I would want to hire you. If they search for my organization, what will they find? If they go on our website, for example, in the people section, and I always say this, don't wait to have 2,000 employees before you have a careers page. You need to have the day you launch your website as an organization, as a startup organization, that is the day you should have a career section. Communicating your promise of value. That is when it starts.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that answer. We have another question on the chat box. That's from Abiola Disa. Says, can you successfully
employer brand without management brand? Oh yeah. I get that question very well. And I said something. There is promise of value, and then there is delivering promise of value. That is like the most important part. And if you remember, in one of the slides I showed there, I said you must be authentic, it must be competitive, you must be committed to it. So you cannot have a strong employer brand without management buying. That is where it starts from. Talent will not work in an organization where there is toxic leadership. Talent will not choose an organization that has toxic leadership. If I know this organization's leadership has issues, I will not come into that organization. And if the conversation is out there that your organization is one that senior leadership are probably not competent or anything, they will still not come in. So employer branding is all, and if you see there, I mean in the slide here, let me go back here. There is leadership. Leadership is one of the core, pillars when it comes to, where is that slide now? Just running back to it. Leadership is one of the core pillars when it comes to employer branding. So, employer branding cannot thrive without leadership. That's just the truth. And that's why it's also important for us as HR professionals to be able to make a business case. And that's where I started from. To be able to make a business case for employer branding, remembering that the quality of people you have is directly proportional to the quality of your business performance. And for you to get quality people, you must have a promise of value to quality people as well to come and work in your organization. And that is where employer branding sits. So it is a competitive advantage for your organization. I'll tell you the truth. If you ask 10 people today if they want to work in Big Four consulting, fresh graduates or, even mid-level professionals, I can tell you confidently that 8 or 9, and that is being very, 8 or 9 will want to work with a Big Four, if I'm right. 8 or 9 will want to work with a Big Four, KPMG, BWC, Deloitte, EY. 8 out of 10 people will want to work with these organizations. But one thing I'll tell you is these organizations are not paying top bucks. I'm telling you the truth. They're not paying top bucks. There are organizations that pay more than them. And I've seen people leave. I'm not even lying. Let me just say the truth. When I joined PwC, for example, I took a pay cost to join PwC. I'm being very sincere. Yeah. But it is because these organizations have a promise of value beyond money. And I sincerely, love Sterling Bank. It was just an opportunity for me to get more global experience. That's a promise of value there. Where I was working with people in the US, in the UK, in Tunisia. I was working with people across about 5 different continents. That's the promise of value on its own. But if you are not communicating this promise of value, people will not choose you over other organization. That's just what I'm saying there. But, management is very important. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we have another question from Sheun. This is, how can one approach building an employer brand for key decision makers like founders and managers?
So, first of all, you need to define your EVP. I think that's just the first place to start from. And I've jumped the gun a bit. 2 key things you must do before defining your EVP. Who is talent to you? Who is talent to you? Who do you consider talent? Is it top? Can you afford top candidates? That you have to be honest to yourself. If you are seeing a Harvard graduate, can you afford him or afford her directly? You need to understand: can I afford a globally competitive talent right now, or can we work with a national talent level now? A top candidate in Nigeria, can we work with that, or can we work with a global level candidate? That's the first question you're asking yourself. What does talent mean to us? The second thing is, what are we trying to achieve with our employer brand? Are you trying to become more attractive? That should always be there. Are you looking to, hire in very soon? So it would also influence what you are communicating. But what are we trying to achieve with our employer brand? And then the third thing is to define your EVPs, your employee value proposition. And that is what I have on the screen right now across these 6 key pillars. That's like the 3 key things you start with. Who is talent to us? The second thing is, what are we trying to achieve with our employer brand? Define your EVP across these 6 key pillars. And then the fourth thing is to communicate. Create a communication plan. I've had sessions where I thought on, building a proper employee value proposition, building an employer brand framework, the communication touch points you can use from LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, name it. Also, developing frequency of communicating, how you can communicate across these 6 key pillars of the EVP as well, what to communicate. So I think these are just some of the key things you can do. But top 4, who is talent to us? What are we trying to achieve? What is our EVP? and communicate. And at that communicate, it is you have to be conscious about your communication and consistent. And when I'm saying conscious, you know who you are speaking with. If you're on Instagram, you should know Instagram is not the place for you to do aspire to perspire. It could just be where you put in your Friday activities at work, bar day for maybe breweries. If you're a bank, what are people doing? Maybe CSR. That's what Instagram is saying. If you're on LinkedIn, you can share maybe a bit more about what work is like over there, a day in the life of one of your employees. If you're on Facebook, maybe more storytelling. If you're on Twitter does not have time. They will drag you very fast. So you have to communicate things that will engage people on that platform. And also, that kind of spark a conversation. So it is understanding and being conscious about communicating on these different platforms and consistently as well. You cannot communicate once every month and then expect people to stay in touch with you. You have to consciously, the same way you are marketing to customers, is the same way you should be marketing to, your candidates. That's just because candidates are now consumers.
Okay. Thank you so much, Samuel, for answering all. Awesome. So I think all our questions have been answered. Thank you so much, Samuel, for dissecting this topic very, very judiciously and for helping us to see these things from different perspectives. Thank you so much. And we really, really appreciate you taking time off your Saturday to come here and share your knowledge with the WorkShift family via the CareerBuddy platform. Thank you, every one of us on the CareerBuddy team. We are really appreciative of your time and we really thank you. If you were close, we would have sent a box, but we'll discuss that off camera.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me again.
All right, then. Thank you. Have a beautiful day. So, guys, thank you. Okay, so guys, WorkShift is finally coming to a close for today, but we want to leave the floor open. We want to hear from you. What topic would you like us to touch on for the next quarter? If there's something you want us to, if there's something on your mind, there's a topic that is very peculiar to you at this point, we would love to find a thought leader, a subject matter expert to bring to the WorkShift for next quarter and have this person do a deep dive on that topic. So if you have topics that you feel there's a bit more you'd like to know, feel free to send that to us, and we are likely to consider a few of those suggestions and just pick one out of them and have a thought leader take that on for next quarter. But before we round off, what would you say has been your experience for today? Just give us one word. Just summarize your WorkShift experience so far in one word. We're listening. So the chat box is open. Waiting to hear your responses. Okay. Insightful. Amazing. Thanks, Marv. Yes. Chode also says insightful. Awesome. Okay. Awesome experience from Funshaw. Love it, love it, love it. I hope everyone also has had a pleasant experience today. Oh, Victor says expository. Yes, it has been. It has just been a very mind-blowing conversation today, and it has opened our eyes to different perspectives and how to help us channel as businesses, channel the right people, the right talents that we're looking for, and not just to, communicate to people, communicate with them as well. Has been resourceful. Thank you, Dan. Has been relatable, Abisola. Yes, very much so. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have any last minute questions, you can send them in now. The CareerBuddy team would definitely put a response together for you. And don't forget to keep an eye open for our messages for next quarter. WorkShift with CareerBuddy would happen next quarter. And we would love to have you back here. Don't forget to send us messages on topics you would love to see, and we are happy to play around those and then pick one topic for the next session. Thank you so much for your time. I'm hoping we haven't taken so much of your time. We hope to see you next quarter. Please feel free. Oh, right. Okay. Oh, we have one topic here already. It says we can talk about recruitment strategy and building a career in tech recruitment. Amazing. Yes. Nice. Okay. So I don't think we have a point here. You can send your suggestions or topic suggestions to careers at the CareerBuddy. I'll put that here. Career at the CareerBuddy.com. And we would definitely consider some of these topics for next quarter. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Take care. Bye.